Welcome back, everyone. We have legendary vocalist. We got Andy Deris. How are you doing today?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Nice. Let's get into this, man. You guys are celebrating 40 years together. You've been in there just about 30, well, now 30.
Yeah.
With this process, with this new record, how has it been different since the first record you did, Master of the Rings?
hmm Okay, Master of the Rings, you have to see that was time-wise a nightmare because we only had 2.5 actually prepare the record. So Michael Wyckoff and I, we were like in the bunker, so to say, for 2.5 weeks because the studio was already booked and everything was hooked up. And yeah, that was a nightmare, so to say, from a production point of view. But yeah, turned out to be a great album and gave us the proof that under total pressure, we still are capable of writing a good album. But honestly, I don't want to have that experience again. So yeah, if you compare it to now smooth sailing would
Right.
be the right description. So after two world tours and after the last successful album, this album was so yeah, easy going. So no pressure on your shoulders and just happy to write. So I think everybody was back into his main hobby, writing songs, and that's why we ended up with like 23 super great songs actually. So it was not easy to pick out the 10 on the album.
Right. Because I remember last record, you guys had about like 17 different tracks. So that must have been
Yeah.
crazy. Was there songs you guys wrote that did not make it on this record?
Yeah, there was one song that was the ballad Into the Sun. We recorded it for the previous album, but because they transposed like semi halftones down, nobody was really satisfied because the demo where I was singing sounded so much more Halloweenish because of the high pitch. And now I said, look, I mean, we got Michael in the band. I mean, he's shining in the high pitches, so it would be a crime to do it like that. Everybody agreed, and now you have it. Now it's like Michael and myself, so it's a duet, and the ballad shines again, and I'm super happy.
Right. And with this record, with any record you guys do, playing live's way different than recording. With this record, is there any like stuff you guys are like scared that's going to translate different live, or are you guys already practicing on that?
Well, we certainly played it in the rehearsal room before we went into production. Like the pre-production is always like playing and arranging together. So yeah, there's this or that song which needs definitely a lot of work and sweat to bring it on stage. Nothing is impossible. They are all playable. Did play them in the rehearsal room. But yeah, you're completely right. Some songs turn out better live than on the album. Some songs are losing a lot when you play them live because they live off the production of the sounds and everything. So if you can reproduce, perfect. If not, you have to call it a day until maybe we play playback or which we'll never do anyway. So
And with this record coming out, is there, because I know you guys are about to go on another tour, is there any songs that are not out that you're excited to play live?
yeah, pretty quite a few actually. Yeah, I mean the boys are in the rehearsal room now. The singers are not allowed to come. We are allowed to enter the rehearsal room in 10 days when they prepared everything, which is like when they are more or less safe and sure what they're playing. When the vocalists yell their shit over it, it's so hard to listen to the little mistakes and so it's a good plan. And it gives us a little bit more holiday. So cool. Yeah, gonna see that. I honestly cannot answer that question before I am in the rehearsal room and listen to the stuff they prepared. But I'm quite confident everything is will be fine.
And with this record, do you have any favorite lyrics that you sang?
Well, quite a few. I mean, I love the lyrics of Majestic. I love the lyrics of Into the Sun, certainly. That's my baby. Um, Giants on the Run is very political, which I love as well, without taking sides.
Right.
But yeah, there are quite a few lyrics I do like on this album. I also love that stupid lyrics of little is a little too much, but that's man talk. All lyrics is for male.
And with this tour coming up, I know like you guys mix some like old and you guys put some new, but how do you make it like so leveled? Like what's your guys' process with that?
No formula, no recipe. Can't answer you that. I mean, honestly, I just think it's because I know my boys well now, and everybody when you come back from tour, everybody is just relieved, and the pressure falls off, and you're kind of reminded why in the first place you started this journey, and this is because everybody's hobby is playing guitar or playing drums or whatever. So back home, then, without any pressure, you just sit down and fiddle and diddle without any responsibility, collect some ideas, and that actually makes you going. That's your hobby. That's how you started out. And certainly on the world tour, after 2 or 3 months touring, you probably need a break and you want to get back home, which is quite normal. And the last tour went through 15 months.
Dang.
So everybody was happy to be back home for a month. And guess what? After 2 weeks at home, suddenly I saw my guitar and said, I need to play you now again, and everybody feels like that. It's a hobby thing. That's
Right.
how you start, like in the school bands. Why do you start a band? Because you want to have fun. And yeah, when you're back from a world tour, it takes a little recovering time, and then you're back to your hobby.
Right. And what are some of the challenges you face or you find difficult touring for that long a period?
Yeah, the challenge is definitely being back, being away from home. And after, as I said, after 2 months, it definitely hits.
Right.
Like I want to go back home. That's the biggest challenge, actually. It was way harder when my little one was a little one. Now he's over 30, so that's not a problem anymore.
Right.
So my family is like whenever they have time and whenever the city is right, they come and visit me on tour. So that was not possible back in the days. That was much harder for me and for my boys as well, because some of them have family, some have not. For those without family, it's easy going. Those who decided to have a family, you have to have the right partner. Otherwise, I mean, it wouldn't work. I always compare it with a sail, like a captain on a sail ship or something like that. It's sometimes hard, but yeah, I mean, we love what we do, so it's a price we gotta pay. Whenever even a relationship would end, that's the price you have to pay if you want to lead a life like that. That's pretty clear from beginning on.
Right. And like you've talked about, you've been doing this forever. You know your boys really well. With you going on tour, is there anything you learn from the older bands you go on tour with or the newer bands that you take and bring to your guys' own band?
Yeah, here and there. I mean, sometimes you learn that you're doing the right thing,
Mhm.
and sometimes you realize, okay, there are different ways which also work. But for us, I have to say, I think we pretty much went through everything.
Right.
So I personally played in 9 bands in my life.
Mhm.
I've known so many different characters. Some were easygoing, some were assholes, and maybe I was an asshole as well. I mean, count me in. But you learn to live with yourself because you have to sooner or later get to know yourself, get to know your strengths and your weaknesses, which is not always easy to admit, sure, but I think with a little bit matureness, that's the right word. I think everything goes down to the point that you have to look in the mirror in the very morning. In the early morning, I have to like myself.
Right.
And after a stupid day where I had some stupid fights going on with some of my boys, I feel really bad. So the first thing I do is go there, knock on the hotel door and say, "Look, I mean, I was an asshole. Let's talk." And that works. And the good thing is you realize, okay, you're still alive and life is getting much better if you just are open and talk about the shit. That's
Ag-
what we that's what we all learned.
Agreed all the way. And you guys been doing this forever. You've been in 9 other bands. Is there any band you haven't toured or played with, on a show that you'd love to play with that you haven't yet?
Yeah, depends on. I mean, it would probably not fit unless we meet on a festival. That would be possible. No, but so far I pretty much played with each and every band. Let me think. Let me think. Well, there would be a band that I would love to get to know, or at least have a little small talk. Muse.
Oh, that'd be
These
sick. That'd be
these
cool.
these guys are on my playlist again and again and again because after, I mean, I'm a metalhead, but after 2 or 3 hours metal, I
Right.
need something to cool down. And I realized, okay, Muse is a band that lets me cool down. Not everything from Muse. I mean, when they go too plastic and too synth,
Right.
then I'm off. But songs like Absolution, for example, or albums like Absolution, I do still love after all these years, and I'm always going back to that one. Deftones is another band, but we were fortunate to play with them. But I don't really get to know the guys,
Right.
certainly because most of the times you don't have the time. I mean, you run back and left and right and backstage and in between catching a coffee, you say hello and goodbye, but that's it. There
Yeah,
are only a few bands where we really have strong connections.
that makes sense all the way. And I always like to ask bands with going on tour, is there a favorite place you like to eat that you always have to hit when you're on tour?
Yeah, okay. I'm half French, so my grandfather was French, and because we're living in that area in Germany, which constantly changes the owner, so to say. Sometimes you're French, sometimes you're German again. And this time we ended up to be in Germany for the last 380 years, I think. But my French part is always crying and kind of crying for snails, escargot. I
That's
love them. Lots of people go like, okay, how can you eat that shit? But hey, I don't know. That's probably the French part in me.
right.
Escargot, a good glass of wine. I love that.
That's pretty cool though. And another thing I love asking musicians is everyone knows you as a metal vocalist. What's something that they don't know about you that we wouldn't guess?
Not really. I was always an open book and try to be honest, even if I would punish myself. But mm, no, I'm an open book. I've got no secrets or something like that. I'm not really not extreme to in anything, not even in sex or something like that. I'm just probably a boring guy, but I love music and that's what makes me interesting probably. But yeah, overall I see myself as a normal, typical guy. I'm not super intelligent, I'm not super dumb, which is a blessing sometimes. Both, not to be too intelligent and not to be too dumb is a blessing actually. But yeah, overall I consider myself mediocre guy, normal guy.
And you guys have this huge discography. For you, what are your five favorite records you guys have done from start to finish?
Well, definitely Keeper 1 and 2, which I was not part of, but I've witnessed the creation because Michael Wyckoff was already a good friend of mine back in the days, and I really loved what they did. I hated what they did with the Chameleon and with the Pink Bubbles Go Up album. The two albums before I joined, I did not like them that much. But me being a part in yeah, Master of the Rings, definitely, because that was my first album, and it was such an intense time feeling wise and unsecureness and do we do the right thing and blah blah blah, but it was the right thing, and it was the first step to the next for me for the next successful 30 plus years, so everything fine. Also I love the Time of the Oath. That's the follow-up to the Master of the Rings, and even though it was very controversial, I still love the Dark Ride, mainly for songs like If I Could Fly or Mr. Torture, stuff like that I really love. Yeah, definitely the last one.
Of course, that was a good one.
That was another challenge because first time in the studio with seven pumpkins is a challenge, I thought, but actually it was okay. I mean, the pressure was there, but the band was cool, so the result is great. I'm happy, proud. We did everything not too wrong. So we had the first time in the history of Halloween, we had like 7 countries #1 album. So this is wow. And this one, I'm definitely super proud as well because
Good
this
one.
was the first production we all, I mean, everybody agreed. The first production we all participated, which was so relaxed, so easygoing, and everybody had a smile on his face, and because you felt like you don't have to prove anything anymore,
Right.
probably that. And yeah, smooth sailing, very smooth sailing.
And for someone listening to Halloween for the first time, what three songs would you suggest them to listen to get into, you guys?
Okay. Um, Eagle Fly Free, um, Into the Sun, and maybe Power,
Those are all
because that would be the three landmarks. Maybe if I could fly would be another landmark that went a little bit more into the new metal grunge direction. So these are the songs that actually helped us to kind of create the ballpark in which we create our music. And I mentioned If I Could Fly because that was not possible in earlier days because it was too far away of the ballpark. That's probably why this was a very controversial album in the beginning, and it took like 1.5 years to be adopted and to finally see a golden record at my wall, where everything else was like boom.
right.
So, but the people learned to like it, they had the patience to like it. And now it's a song that a style that we may write as well. If there's a great song, I always say a great song is a great song. And at the end of the day, if you got the Halloween sound on it and the boys do their tickle tackle with their guitars, second voices, third voices, and shit like that, then you're in the ballpark. For me, that's Halloween. Otherwise, you would not have great songs like I Want Out or Dr. Steen or something like that, or even the ballad like A Tale That Wasn't Right back in the days.
Agreed all the way.
Absolutely. So the band was always actually very, very famous for being versatile, I think.
I agree.
And I'm just happy we're back on this train again with the new album. I think it's a pretty nice roller coaster.
It's a great record.
Thank you.
One of my final questions, since I'm running low on time now, is you're known as a power metal like vocalist. What's your Mount Rushmore of power metal bands?
Well, I do love Blind Guardian, not everything, but there are lots of things where I think, okay, yeah, that's cool. Love that. Um, Powerwolf's got some stuff that I like. Um, Avantasia, they have some great songs. Now the support band, Beast in Black, our support band for this upcoming world tour. This is also very great, and it's also got lots of power metal influence.
That's
So yeah, those four, I would say these four are, well, probably there are much more, but that's the one that pop up in my mind where they actually play music that I listen to, put it that way.
Those are solid picks. And where can everyone keep up to date with you guys and buy this fantastic record? It's amazing.
Well, keep up. You would probably be most informed on the webpage, halloween.org, I would reckon. Or you just what I just tried to put in Halloween with an E, and there will be a few million hits. So it's also always fun for me to look who is writing what. So I'm just being nosy. Most of the times it's positive, and when it's getting negative, I shut down the computer.
That's funny, man. Um, and I thank you for taking the time to be on the show. I appreciate it.
I appreciate. Thanks for having me.
But next time,
Next time. All right.
I'll let you go. I appreciate you hanging in those 10 minutes. I struggled figuring this out. So
We couldn't figure it out, but hey,
we still did the interview. Yes.
yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You're the
Take care.
best. You're one of my favorite singers. Thank you.